Hello, everyone. I'm Daniel. SuperBang99 is with me as usual, and we are going to talk about a scenario that generally takes a very long time to play, but we're going to try not to talk for as long as it might take you to play the scenario, which is the secret name.
Yeah, here's hoping.
We don't have a good track record on that one, but
No.
we're going to we'll get into it right away. So here we are indeed in this house, which is what's it called?
I was about to say the unnameable, but I feel like that's from the Dreamers.
That's Dream Eaters, yeah.
I always mix it. Okay, to be honest, I'm gonna be completely honest. The intro to this scenario makes zero sense. Because, first of all, I love that the fact that it does keep track of whether or not you learn nothing or you were never seen from again.
Mhm.
Because then you're like, oh, and you're gonna take the same steps as those previous investigators. And what's this? What are you doing in the historical society? Anyway, basically, the first thing is if you are members of the lodge, you can actually make a choice whether or not to tell the lodge of those witches that you interacted with in the first scenario. And if you do, you are telling the lodge about the covenant. You get another cultist token, and it is a requirement for another kind of secret kind of through line going throughout the campaign. Or, of course, you can tell them that you know nothing and you are lying.
It's so strange that they put a cultist token in now because they just put one in at the end of the last scenario, right?
Yeah. So basically, it's like, would you like one? Would you like two?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. Other than that, you're like, I guess we're. Well, I shouldn't say that. If you're allied with the lodge, then they tell you like, hey, you should probably go to this place called the Witch House because something about witches and Kezia Mason or something. But if you're enemies of the lodge, you're kind of just like walk around. And you're like, let's go to the historical society, and oh, what is this? It's a witch house. Let's go there. But yeah, that's the story. You're in the witch house.
Well, let's go there.
Let us go there indeed. So you go in here and you're going to set up the stuff. So the first main thing is we need to set up the unknown places deck. And the way we do that is we take the witch house ruins on its revealed side, and three other unknown place locations, and you form the bottom four cards of the deck. You put the other three on top. I'm going to click the button. Boom.
There you go.
So this is like our museum deck, museum hall deck, very similar to that. And we're going to be going through after we enter the witch house, which I think we're ready to start now. Let's well, we started the moldy halls, but let's talk about our agenda. So the hermit is here today. And here's the weird thing. Okay. Each non-weakness enemy gets +1 health. Okay. Wow, that could be pretty bad. Reaction: after you defeat Brown Jenkin or Nahab, who the frick are those people?
Ooh.
Gain a clue from the token bank. Exactly. 2 clues instead if there are 3 more investigators in the game. Okay. It's a way to get clues for your fighters. That's pretty nice. 4 doom threshold. Not a lot. And our act for now is we need to go into the Walter Gilman's room and spend 3 per investigator clues. And notably, everyone needs to be there. And that room is over here. Okay. So let's talk about these locations, I guess. Oh, you're right. In order to get to the Walter Goodman's room, we need at least 1 per clues to spend as well. So I guess in theory, you're going to need a total of 4 per clues.
Yeah, it's a lot, actually. It's basically almost all of the clues here. There are some
pretty much
on his room.
Yeah. All right, we got the moldy halls. We're starting here. 4 shroud, 1 per clues. Haunted, lose 3 resources. Boo.
Get out. Get out of here.
Get out of here. Yeah. Or spend all your stuff and then blindly investigate if you want.
4 shroud is really unusual for the first location in a game.
For sure, yeah. All right, and we got these 3 decrepit doors. In theory, you don't know which ones, but let's just open them up. We got Joe Mazurwich's room. My apologies. 3 shroud, 1 per clues. As an action, search your deck for a blessed or item asset and add it to your hand. Group loneless per game. That's pretty good.
It's really good. I think I did this to pull out, I don't know, maybe the Hollowed Mirror?
Oh, that sounds pretty good, yeah. Haunted, you must either take a horror or choose and discard an asset you control. Well, probably don't want to discard an asset.
No, take the horror. So the last scenario had something like this, but it was take a damage, right?
Exactly.
Anyway.
We got the landlord's quarters. So 2 shroud, 1 per. Forced, after you reveal landlord's quarters, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a swarm of rats and spawn in the moldy halls. Important. It doesn't actually spawn here. It spawns back in the center. So that can be annoying. It also has a haunted effect to do the same thing, to find a swarm of rats and spawn it in the moldy halls. You will note the swarm of rats, they have 1 health. Not right now. They have 2 health, because everything has +1 health.
And they have hunters, so I think the idea was that they spawn here and then they come after you before you can actually kill them. In practice, in like 2 or 3 player, there's someone already there.
Exactly. You're like, oh god, get him off. All right, and lastly, we got Frank Elwood's room. 3 shroud, 1 per. Haunted, you must either place one of your clues on it or put a doom on the current agenda. Ugh.
Doesn't cause it to advance.
No, but it is annoying. Mm-hmm. All right, so once you've collected at least your 1 per clues, reminder you're going to need 3 per in here, so it's probably good to get some more before you get in here. You can enter here. It has 4 shroud, 1 per clues. As an action, you can draw 3 cards and take a horror, limit once per game. Okay. And it has a haunted effect to discard the top 2 cards of the encounter deck. Hey, that actually doesn't do anything, but might do other things, because if you recall from the first scenario, the encounter deck going through cards can be bad.
Mm-hmm. Okay, neat.
Neat. All right, let's have everyone in there, and we're going to spawn our 3 per clues, and we are going to go into the witch house, the actual witch house, the really weird stuff. So we're going to basically get rid of everything and spawn or put it to play a new location. It's what's it called? Kezia's room. And you're going to have someone take control of the black book asset, as well as shuffle some other cards into the encounter deck. Strange geometry. All right, here's the black book.
I love this thing.
This thing is amazing. 3 cost, unique asset, the black book, Sign in Blood. +1 willpower, +1 intellect, already fantastic. Takes up the hand slot. Reaction: when you play a card, exhaust the black book and take a horror. Take X horror. Reduce that card's cost by X. Fantastic. Especially when you are Carolyn Fern. It's like it's basically like it's like double economy, because then you can heal the horror and get the money back also.
Yep, it's fantastic. Yeah. I think it's good on in pretty much anyone though. Like Daisy has probably extra space for tomes. Yep. I played this in Jenny on my channel, and it was totally fine. I mean, I didn't necessarily use the horror thing for much, but +2 stats for not having to pay for including the card in your deck. Not bad.
Yep, and also basically all mystics also love this card, because 1, usually their hand slots aren't taken up by a lot of things, and 2, they have a very high cost stuff, and taking horror as a cost for that is usually not a problem for them. So very good for them.
Mm-hmm. Good icons for well prepared.
That is true. All right, and we are now in the actual, I guess we're beyond the witch house. We need to get to the witch house ruins, which we know is in the bottom 4 cards of the Unknown Places deck, and spend 5 per clues. That's a lot of clues. While this is happening, yeah, let's go to Kezia's room, and then we'll put out some new locations, and then see what the agenda has for us as well. 3 shroud, 0 clues. We can investigate Kezia's room to reveal Unknown Places deck. Importantly, it's not an action, activate action on the room. It's just if you successfully investigate. So mystics with your 6th sense should be fine, and you can investigate this place, and you'll still be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then also you move to that location, kind of like exploring from the Forgotten Age. It has a haunted effect, though. You discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until a hex card is discarded, and you draw that card. There are a ton of hexes in this deck, so that's can be bad. Sometimes it's okay. Okay. Do you want to talk about the next agenda flip?
Yeah, let's look at the other main thing that's going on in this scenario.
Exactly. Who's Brown Jenkin? Well, if he's in play, you're going to search the encounter deck and discard pile for a swarm of rats, spawn it at his location. Otherwise, you're going to search for him and spawn it at the lead investigator's location. And also, you're going to get another swarm of rats if there are 3 or 4 investigators in the game. Brown Jenkin is a rat.
He is in the encounter deck, so you could draw him at any time before this agenda flip as well.
Correct. So he only has, we'll talk about him right now before we get to the encounter cards, and then we'll talk about the rest of the treacheries. Brown Jenkin, the witch is familiar. 1 fight, 1, currently 2 health, 4 evade, creature familiar elite, aloof, and hunter. Each ready creature enemy gets +2 fights. Remember that swarm of rats are creature enemies.
And
Force,
so is he.
so is he, exactly. When the enemy phase ends, if Brown Jenkin is ready, Each investigator at his location discards their hand, then draws that many cards. So, obviously, if you have good stuff in your hand, then you don't want this to happen. Sometimes this, in theory, could be good if your hand is garbage and you're like, just get it out of here. Give me new stuff.
Yeah, but you may be getting closer to the end of your deck, which might not be good either, as we'll see. Importantly, this whole when the enemy phase ends thing, so you could decide to engage him, get attacked by him. He will not be ready at the end of the enemy phase, and then this will not happen.
Exactly. All right. And our new agenda, now everyone has +2 health. So actually, Brown Jenkin has 3 health right now. All right.
Lots of doom.
Let's talk about lots of doom, but also lots of clues. Let us talk about some unknown places. Number 1. Ooh, it's the City of Elder Things. 3 Shroud, 2 per clues, victory 1. Reaction. After you reveal City of Elder Things, take 2 horror. Put the top card of the Unknown Places deck into play unrevealed. For the remainder of the scenario, City of Elder Things is connected to that location, and vice versa. Remember, this is a reaction, so you don't have to do this, but this can be pretty cool if you need to do that. Basically, it saves an entire cycle of going through these locations. So,
City of Elder Things, that's a scenario from sometime in the future, huh?
Yeah. Are we actually doing this?
I was going to do it.
Okay.
I missed it.
Oops.
Sorry.
I'm using the classic ones.
Yeah. Get rid of the line.
How do I can't actually. Weird.
Should be able to. Oh, I can't.
Anyway.
I think you have to.
No,
anyway.
I tried. Anyway.
Oh,
okay. You know what? I'm going to put this over
there
here.
we go.
There you go. Perfect. Okay, here's our next one. We got... Ooh, it's the Court of the Great Old Ones. A not too distant future? What does that mean? 3 Shroud, 2 per clues, victory 1. Forced. After you enter it, test willpower 3. For 25, you take a horror. You're going to take a Rotting Remains every time you enter. Haunted. The next action you perform this round must be an investigate action. This is a really cool Haunted effect. I really like that.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah. Really cool.
Okay.
All right. Next, it's Salem Goal.
Jail.
1692. I think that's right. That's how you spell jail, I guess.
Yep.
It is jail. 3 shot, 1 per. As an action, test 3 intellect. If you succeed, move to any revealed location, limit once per game. Haunted, you move back to Kezia's room. So some moving around, but ultimately it's kind of okay.
No victory points.
No victory. I know, right? All right. Next we got. Never mind. We're gonna talk about that one later.
Oh.
That was the place we were trying to go to. The Twilight Abyss. 2 Shroud, 2 per clues. Forced. After you enter Twilight Abyss, test Combat 3 or Agility 3. If you fail, take a damage for each point failed by. Victory 1. And you'll note it's actually connected to the Court of the Great Old Ones.
Yeah, that's cool.
Pretty nice.
You can go bounce between these 2 locations and take all the horror and damage you want.
Hank Sampson is just moving around, powering himself up. All right, next we got the Moldy Halls from earlier tonight. Whoa. 2 shots, 0 clues. As an action, you request aid from your past self. Each investigator at this location may return 1 card from their discard pile to their hand. Each investigator who does so remembers that they meddled with the past. Group limit once per game.
Any consequences?
I don't think that does anything.
No, it does nothing. No.
It does not. It is another one of those stole from someone's luggage thing.
Yeah.
But maybe it does. Anyway. Last one here before we get the real one. It's the physics classroom 4 shot 1 per victory 1. Reaction. After you successfully investigate physics classroom by 2 or more, discover a clue at another revealed location, limit once per round. Really cool effect. Really useful as well.
This is a neat scenario. As we're going to see the treacheries make you move around a little bit quicker than you'd like to. So
yeah,
I've always had a good time playing this one because you can do some things that you're not usually optimally going to do, like play connect the dots.
Thanks. I was literally about to bring it up. This is the connect the dots scenario as you have shown. It's pretty good. All right. And finally, where we're trying to go, the Witch House Ruins, 2 shots, 0 clues. As an action, you can investigate. If you succeed, instead of discovering clues, you heal 2 horror. Okay, I guess if you need to do that, that's good. Haunted ability is lose an action. And when you are here, obviously, investigators here can spend 5 per clues to advance the act. Let's do it. Okay, a lot of text. But You put the set aside site of the sacrifice location into play. It's connected to the Witch House ruins. Also, I guess it's connected to Kezir's room.
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah, okay. Okay, then, if it is agenda 1, 2, or 3, you find Nahab, even if she's out of play. Place 2 Doom on her and put her at the side of the sacrifice. Otherwise, find Nahab and just move her there, and she would probably already have Doom on her, which is why she doesn't put 2 more. But, importantly, you move each Doom from agenda 4A to Nahab, so that's, I guess, where the Doom's coming from. You're also going to put Brown Jenkin there, even if he's dead.
Who's Nahab?
Who's Nahab? She signed the Black Book. That's who Nahab is. 1 fight, 1 per investigator health, 3 evade, monster, geist, witch, elite. Importantly, it's 1 per investigator plus whatever the agenda says, because she is a non-weakness enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter and retaliate. Do not remove Doom from Nahab when the agenda advances. Oh boy. Nahab gets plus X fight, where X is the number of the current agenda. Forced after the enemy phase begins, if Nahab is ready, place a Doom on her. So, she will spiral the game out of control if you can't deal with her. And the goal of the game is now to deal with her. So at this point, Nahab can't leave the side of the sacrifice. And when she's defeated, instead of discarding her, you just heal all her damage and she just doesn't ready, kind of like the Spectral Watcher. And the objective is to get all of the Doom off of Nahab. Currently, we don't have a way to do that. But there is a way, spoilers, which we will get to in just a moment.
So she can spawn before this point. In fact, she probably does. And you can get the Doom off of her by just defeating her if she goes into the discard pile.
Correct.
But at this point in Act 3, that is not the case.
Yes, because once she's defeated, she can't go into the discard pile. She just double exhausts.
Mm-hmm.
Let's advance the agenda before we get to the final act, because this is the way that Nahab could spawn before. At this point, she would spawn in Kezzy's room. But if it was still Act 1, she would spawn in Walter Gilman's room, which I feel like if this agenda advanced and it was still Act 1, then, like,
yikes,
you're not doing so hot.
No.
But yeah, usually she'll spawn in Kezzy's room at this point, which is the center place. If it's Act 3, though, you just put an additional Doom on Nahab, so that can be pretty unfortunate. And you also get 2 copies of this card called Ghostly Presence into the encounter deck, which we will talk about later, but that card sucks.
It is tough.
It is tough. And also put Brown Jenkin in where she is.
He is the Witch's Familiar.
That is correct. Okay, well, at this point, the agenda now says that everyone has plus 3 health, so even more health. The rats currently have 4 health from this agenda, but it does have 8 Doom threshold at this point, so that is a lot of Doom. I don't think I've actually ever seen the 4th agenda.
Let's look at it.
Let's see it. So, what happens at the back of this one? If it's Act 1 or 2, set Nahab aside, out of play. Oh, and put 4 Doom on it. I just play. Okay, I have legitimately never seen this card because this scenario has so much Doom on it. If it is Act 3, place the Doom in Nahab. Okay, fine. Put 4 Doom. Oh, interesting. Okay, and then the last one is an 8 Doom threshold plus 4 health, and that's it. And then you just go to. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Interesting. So it's kind of like if you didn't get here already, she is like gonna have at least 4 Doom when she comes back.
Yeah.
Because it moves all the Doom onto her. Okay. Okay. It's okay, I guess. Anyway, let's see how we actually do this. So we go to the side of the sacrifice. 4 shroud, 3 precludes. As an action, investigators here can spend 1 precludes. Remove 1 Doom from the Hob. And that does not provoke a tax opportunity. And you refill this location with 3 precludes at the end of each round. And the haunted effect is either you place a Doom on her or Nahab attacks you. So basically, you got to go in here and just spam a bunch of clues to get rid of all the Doom on Nahab.
And that's it.
And that's it.
And you might not need the clues that are here, because if you've been doing your job and getting all these clues, and clues from defeating Brown Jenkin or Nahab earlier,
yep,
you should have enough.
You should probably have enough, especially if you're able to deal with her as soon as she spawns. She's probably only going to have 2 Doom on her, right? So that's 2 per investigator clues. There's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in theory out here. So that's technically all the clues you need. You just spawn her immediately and then get rid of her.
And you should have gotten a few from Brown Jenkin.
For sure. Yep. That's the scenario.
Yeah, it has this kind of weird ending to me,
It
especially
does.
if you are, you know, like most people, I think, just going around getting victory points.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, like, how many of them have victory points? All but two?
All but two.
So,
Oh, I guess, and the Witch House runs.
and the Witch House runs, but all the other ones that you potentially, you don't have to go through the whole deck, right? The Unknown Places
Yep.
deck, but you probably want to. There's time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it's just strange at the end where you're like, and then the scenario ended. It's the unerasable line. If we use permanent marker on the board, it's gonna be there for every game we play ever again. Um, now I think when I played this last time on the channel, my channel, I think I ran into a little bit of trouble at the end. It's not that I didn't have the clues, but I think I needed to. There was more than just two Doom on her.
Right.
So it was a little harder. It wasn't that bad though. I still got there, but it was a little bit more challenging than when I played with you.
For sure. Yeah, like it's one of these things where this scenario is either a breeze or it like spirals out of control. And it can definitely do either pretty evenly.
Mm-hmm. So we do that. We advance the act.
Yep. And we got R2. So R1 is the failure state. It basically is like, did anything happen? Whatever. We'll get to it in a sec. R2, basically the main stuff happens. You get 2 bonus experience, which is thematically because you killed Brown Jenkin and the Hob, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You earn some more mementos. So you get Gilman's Journal, Kezia's Formulae, and the Worn Crucifix, which all of which I think have checks. I'm not sure about all of them, but some of them do have checks later on. But also, someone can choose the black to add the black book, and if they do, then you add a skull token to the chaos pack from the beginning of the campaign. So you can have 3.
Do it. Like, why would you
do
not
it.
do this?
It's good, and usually the skulls don't even matter. So
Right, exactly. It's
Yeah.
not like you're adding one of the more tricky tokens. Like you're deleting the
Exactly.
bag of auto fails. Like, do it.
exactly. And that's the end of the scenario. You learned more about Annette Mason's past because she is apparently related to Kezia,
Mhm.
and potentially that's why she's doing her stuff. And that's the scenario.
All right. Let's look at the tokens. Speaking of, on easy standard, it is not bad. Honestly,
Not bad, yeah.
-1 at the beginning, -3 towards the end.
Yep.
The cultist tokens, which would be new.
Cultist tokens would be new if you are siding with the Lodge. The only thing that happens is you reveal another token, and if you fail, you discard the top of the cards in the encounter deck. Again, that in theory doesn't matter, but it can matter depending on other encounter cards that you have drawn. Let's see,
Tablet.
tablets. Oh god, I guess don't fail that. The Hop attacking you is pretty rough. She deals 2 horror, so
But it won't
Rough.
happen until the end of the scenario.
that is true. Elder Thing. Resolve the 100 keyword on each enemy in play. I feel like that usually doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think the only thing there is like if you're trying to stay ahead of Brown Jenkin,
That's true.
he might.
He does
catch
have
up.
aloof, so yeah, he can
Right.
maybe accidentally wheels you for no reason.
Right,
so.
right. And the rats have Hunter, I guess, but who cares?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So
We're talking about counter cards.
a lot of old ones, but some new ones.
Yeah. So this one is specific. Actually, these ones are all specific to this scenario. This one, oh god, the art on this is crazy.
Don't look at it too hard.
Oh god, Metal's Unfamiliar. So if he's not in play, you spawn him at your location, and you also take a damage regardless. Ouch. If he's already in play though, you spawn a swarm of rats at your location and then take a damage. So something's popping out of the encounter deck.
Yep. 3 of them.
Yep. 3 of those. All right, we got extra dimensional visions. You test 2 willpower. You get +1 difficulty for each 10 cards in the encounter discard pile. I don't know exactly how many cards here. I think it's almost 30, so maybe this could get to +2 difficulty, but usually it's just +1, +2.
Mhm.
And it's a crypt chill. So if you fail, you discard an asset you control. It's honestly easy. It's like literally crypt chill, if not sometimes easier. So I guess it's okay.
Yeah.
All right, pulled by the stars. This one is a iconic card from this scenario. Put into play in the 3rd area. At the end of your turn, if you did not move at least once during your turn, you take 2 horror. So this one incentivizes you to move around the house, And this has the same text as all the other Racked and Blood Devil, where you can take an action to test the real power. Or if there's an exhausted witch in location, you can get it off. Hey, Nahab is a witch enemy, so that would be a way to do it.
The only one.
Indeed, the only witch enemy.
I guess there's no witch weaknesses, huh? Not
yet. There might be in the future. I don't know. That'd be cool. All right, we got Disquieting Dreams. Test 5 willpower. So you're going to fail that, probably. Fail, you put into play in the area. Forced, at the end of your turn, you discard the top card of the encounter deck. Forced, when the deck runs out, you discard this card and reveal the top 10 cards of your own deck. You draw each weakness revealed and discard each other revealed card.
The worst part about this card is remembering to do it.
Exactly. That is true. Yeah, usually I feel like this doesn't really do anything. Like, yeah, it discards 10 cards, but I don't care. Maybe if I draw enough, I'll just get it back anyway. Great for Will York.
Yeah,
so
I played this as Calvin once with his weakness, and I was like, this is actually kind of bad.
Okay, fair enough.
But that's the exception.
Yeah. Yeah. Albeit, of course, this does accelerate the other cards that care about the encounter deck running out, namely Evil Past, which I guess if you're worried about that, then it can be bad. But
yeah,
that's also the only other card, or I guess other than Diabolic Voices, that cares about that. So
forgot about that. Okay, other new cards.
We got 2 sets of cards over here that pop in. The Strange Geometry pops in at the end of the start of Act 2, and the Ghastly Presence pops in at the start of Agenda 3. Is that right? All right, Strange Geometry. Hey, it's a location. We haven't seen one of these in a while. Actually, I guess we just saw one at the finale of TFA, but this is a scenario 3, which is weird. Force round 1 for clues. Revelation, you put... Actually, sorry, that wasn't a location. That was a treachery that acted as a location. This is an actual location. Anyway, this card is honestly very similar to that card. You put into play and move to it when you draw it. After the investigation phase ends, you discard this location and move each investigator and enemy here to a location with the most clues. Each investigator who moved by this effect takes a damage and a horror. As a free trigger, if Strange Geometry has no clues on it, move to any revealed location. This card is really cool. I really like it. It has like some upsides too. Mm-hmm. Like you can basically do like a free Luke Robinson Gatebox kind of effect. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, you're right, because it is the same idea of like you could get stuck there for the whole turn like Luke does.
Yeah.
But then you get to go anywhere.
That's true.
Okay.
Pretty neat.
Only 2 of those.
Only 2 of those. All right. And lastly, we have the Ghostly Presence. So if Nahab is in play, ready her, resolve her hunter keyword. She attacks each investigator at her location. Ouch. If Nahab is at the side of the sacrifice, place a doom on her also. Okay, Jesus. Otherwise, you find Nahab and spawn her. All of these things are bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is tough.
Yeah, what's your plan for dealing with her usually?
Kill her. Oh, I should say, if it's not Act 3, right? Just kill her. So usually she'll only have 2 or 3 fights because of the amount of doom on her. I'm sorry, because of the agenda. And so dealing like 6 to 7 damage usually isn't so bad. And therefore, like, the fighter can take some time to actually kill her to set up the time in which she comes to the side of the sacrifice, and then you can just go in there and just kill her off like as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's interesting, like the health in this scenario, because like the rats become actually a threat.
Yeah, they do.
Like they can be 3 or 4 health, easy to fight if Brown Jenkin's around, but not around, but kind of annoying.
Definitely.
Especially when you're trying to move around each turn.
Yeah.
The rest of the encounter sets we've seen already, but they're good ones. Some of them we saw last scenario, some of them we saw in the first scenario.
Yep.
Any standouts for you?
Let's see. Bedevil definitely is a lot, like it's tougher in this one because there's going to be a lot more fight actions, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be more important to get that off for sure.
I think the Realm of Torment is also kind of tricky. Depends on which place you're sitting at, of course, but maybe not as bad as last scenario.
Yeah, there are some locations that don't even have haunted abilities.
Exactly.
If you have this one, it's a free move back to Kezia's room, so it's pretty nice.
Yep.
But also staying here at Kezia's room and actually drawing that hex card can be bad as well, because you could draw uh, like a bedeviled and be like, oh, I'm locked out on my turn, for example.
Right. Diabolical Voices, I think that can get more quickly a problem, right? Because that'll be a higher difficulty probably than usual.
Yeah, for sure.
Okie dokie.
All right.
That's it. We're going to go
That's it.
take a little bit of time discussing our ratings. So stick around and we'll do that. Alrighty. Replayability. This one is kind of the same.
Yeah. I think it has. I mean, okay. I will give it this. I gave Mystic Sonic Museum a lot of credit for the Museum Halls deck and how interesting it was, the order in which those cards come out, because a lot of effects are causing you to move around, similar to this scenario where you have Drawn by the Stars or Pulled by the Stars, where it wants you to move around. You also have Kezia and Brown Jenkin wanting you to move around because you want to avoid their effects, for example. So I think ultimately I will give it props because of the Unknown Places deck. I think the first bit of this act sometimes goes on way too long. The start where you're at like the moldy halls and you have to go to Walter's Gilman room and do your thing. That can sometimes last like 3 or 4 rounds, and it's like honestly the most boring part of this scenario.
You're right.
And also, I think similar to Mystic Sonic Museum, it has the issue, or I should say, it has more of an issue that you kind of just want to do everything before you advance. In Mystic Sonic Museum, when you reveal the secret hall, or I forgot what it's called, the place where the Necronomicon is, you are forced to advance, I believe.
Yes.
And then the thing pops out and you have to go fight it. In this scenario, you do not have to advance until you want to. And therefore, there is never an incentive to not reveal every single location, get all of the clues, go to the place, and then just do it, and then just bang out Kezia Mason as fast as possible. Right? That was very poorly worded. But you know what I mean?
Yep.
So for me, this scenario, even though it has the Unknown Places, it can sometimes feel like it's the same thing each time.
Yeah, like the only thing that's kind of interesting is which location's going to get connected to the City of Elder things. Like, oh boy.
Right.
That's not enough. I mean, I think that we'll talk about the Return to later, but like having more locations in there would make it more interesting. But I don't know. I like the scenario, but it really is kind of a slog through the same gameplay.
Yeah, and I think again, it's not because the scenario is bad that I'm gonna give it a 2. It's not the scenario is bad that I'm giving it this low rating. It's just the weakness of this scenario is the replayability. I think that ultimately the scenario is good, but it is a good scenario that you play over and over again.
Yeah. I wonder if it would be better if it didn't require you to have as many clues. Like 5 per at that point is a bit much.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe something about, you're right, like forcing you to go to the next act would be good too. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. So what are the decisions you even need to make in this one?
So the decisions in this scenario come down to how you're dealing with Brown Jenkin, the rats, and Kezia Mason.
Yeah.
And I think that at least for like Brown Jenkin, because of the fact that Brown Jenkin impacts the board a lot, and usually always comes with, hey, there's also a rat here you're gonna have to deal with. Also, this guy spawns a rat, and therefore it's hard to deal with them. Also, they all have hunters, so you have to deal with them in some way. And sometimes Brown Jenkin, you kind of want that effect of discarding your hand to redraw. Can be good. So there are some interesting decisions when it comes to that. For me, the weird part about this is the ending when it comes, as we talked about, the Kezia Mason ending, where you kind of just go in and be like, okay, bam, 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 and you're done.
Yeah.
As opposed to it being like a climactic end, it sometimes feels like it just peters off.
It does. It peters out for sure.
Yeah. So I think with that, like, again, I think the most interesting part of this is Brown Jenkin, and that's what makes it cool. So I will give it props for that. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think that you can let Brown Jenkin do his thing, and then later you'll be like, that was a bad idea. Why'd I do that? Or whatever. So there is something that some opportunity cost, I suppose, to engaging and trying to fight him by going to get clues. I don't know how this scales with higher numbers of players though. 'Cause in 2-player, when we did it, it was pretty manageable to one person could get clues, the other person could kill Brown Jenkin and get clues by doing that, and then maybe pick up some clues along the way as well through investigations. But I wonder if it's just kind of boring with 4 players because maybe Brown Jenkin's not really a threat.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with that. There's not a lot in this scenario that scales with player count. I think in general, the Circle Undone is really benefiting, or I should say, like a party composition that benefits from being flexible is good in this campaign to begin with.
For sure.
But maybe that relies more on the balance aspect of the scenario as opposed to fairness.
Yeah.
But I agree that like the fighter, their one job is to deal with Brown Jenkin whenever he shows up, and the rats, of course.
Yeah, like I was thinking about it for here just because of how swingy can the scenario get based on paying attention to him or not.
Right.
And I think it's an easier choice to take care of him if you have someone who has nothing else to do, right?
Exactly.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to give it I'll give it a 3.5. I think ultimately it is a fair scenario, and it's just the weird Kezia Mason stuff at the end is kind of just weird about it.
Yeah, I'm putting it at a 3. Like it also, like that last question is usually errs on the side of it doesn't, it doesn't put the appropriate amount of pressure because there's like not enough time to do something. In this case, I think there's too much time.
Yeah, and I think again when I talked about this earlier, the scenario can be very swingy. Like either you have way too much time, or the scenario completely stopped you. So
right,
that's also
right. Like the horror problem from like not dealing with Pulled by the Stars or something is going to take you out before the Doom clock ever would.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to balanced. Is it a balanced scenario? Yeah, I think so.
I think so too. It's ultimately just go around, get clues. I like the fact that you can investigate Kezia's room without having to take an investigate action on the location, so that's nice. Thank you, team. Also, if you'll recall, real quick trick for those mystics with upgraded Sixth Sense, you can investigate your location and also investigate Kezia's room to bring in another location to get the clue anyway.
That's so
pretty
good.
sick tech there.
Yeah,
it is sick tech. Anyway, yeah, ultimately I think it's fine. Like there's a lot of things you can do, and it's pretty standard. I'll give it a okay.
Just the mere fact that you get clues from defeating Nahab or Brown Jenkin is great.
I think that's huge as well. Yeah,
it lets you stay ahead of the game, I think.
4.5.
I also like that number. Okay, the last thing is experience.
Okay. I think. Okay. I think the beginning of this scenario is really boring. You're just going around. Maybe you find some rats. There's a blessed or an item thing inside this guy's room. Cool. The second half is cool because of the fact that some of the locations are things that have happened, are happening, or will happen. It plays the whole time aspect of this. So the main one is the Court of the Great Old Ones, because spoiler, that location shows up in the final scenario as a thing you have to do. And it's the same art too. So like, this is where we were. Also, City of the Elder Things. Obviously, that's a reference to Edge of the Earth, which hasn't come out yet, so that's cool. And what's the other one? The Moldy Halls.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's really cool ideas there. I think the issue is that most of the locations are kind of just like, this is the place where you get clues and then something else happens. But I like the idea of the whole messing with time thing.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame that that's the only one that has it.
Yeah.
The other ones are just on the on-enter effects that don't really have much to do with anything, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. So they could have done a little more to play with that theme, but they didn't. That's okay though. I do like a good, go around, get clues through, some random arrangement of locations. That's always kind of fun.
Yeah. Um, I also speak to this because I think that like, I mean, maybe this is the problem with the campaign itself, but like the the reason why you're here is, at least for me, still always kind of just like, we're gonna move the plot forward and you're gonna be in the witch house kind of thing. Which like I'm ultimately okay with, but it's, you know, I think it kind of lessens the experience somewhat, because then it's like, why am I even here? But I guess we're here, so
And then the end doesn't really lead anywhere either.
that is true. Yeah, you're like, okay, I guess we learned stuff, kind of. Now let's go to other witch place. Yay.
Right.
um,
It's odd.
yeah,
Yeah, there's the beginning prologue doesn't really help much, I guess.
yeah. Okay. I think with that's being said, I think I'll give it a 3.5. It has some cool stuff, but that's about it.
Okay, 3.5. I'm just kind of thinking it's a 3. Like, I like this scenario overall, but I don't know in terms of the experience if it has a, like, again, we've talked about how this compares to Miskatonic Museum, and I think it's a better version of that one.
Yeah.
But it's still not like the best version of this idea.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of other ones in the future where they've come back to, dig through some set aside cards. Have they done this idea even better? Actually, to me, honestly, the problem with this one is not that part, right? It's kind of all the surrounding parts, the end and the beginning.
Yep, I agree. Like the idea of the pulling locations from the deck, you're not knowing what you're gonna get next, is always really cool. And like, as you said, this is the better version of Miscon Museum, but some of the things around it kind of just are not as interesting.
Oh well. All right, that's a bit for now. We will talk about the Return to version here and a few things that it changes up, notably some new locations. But otherwise, next week we will be talking about the Wages of Sin.
Spooky.
A spooky graveyard scenario. Yeah, there'll be a lot to talk about there too. So we'll see you then. Okay, let's start with the tarot card reading here. So we have the Hermit, which is the one on the agenda, as you may recall.
Yeah, so the good side, everyone's maximum hand size increased by 3. The bad side is decreased by 3. So usually, or I think I should say, on our playthrough, we turn this to the negative side.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, I feel like most people are like, whoever gets to more than 5 cards in their hand anyway. So yeah.
Does that make things interesting with Brown Jenkin discarding your hand?
Maybe. That's potentially true. Yeah.
All right. Our other changes are mostly with new locations. So we do not set up in the same way. I think we don't have as many. We have the same number of locations, right? But some of them will be different.
Correct. Yeah. You will take the total of 11 locations. Actually, sorry, 10 without the Witch House Ruins, and remove 4 of them. But these ones are all the new ones.
So, no, my victory points.
No, my victory points. Speaking of no victory points, the 9th Ward. Hey, we're in Paris, I guess.
Yep.
5 Shroud, 1 Clues. As an action, investigate using agility instead of intellect. If you succeed after discovering clues, you may move to any extra dimensional location. Okay. Haunted, you can't. Oh, this is why. Haunted, you cannot leave the 9th Ward this round. During your turn, reduce the Shroud value of the 9th Ward by 1. Wait. Does that work with this? We were mentioning with the unstable edges. We were mentioning earlier that can't leave the. Wait.
I don't know.
Now the fix is wrong. Am I crazy?
I'm gonna have to look this up later. I'll add it in, I'm sure.
Anyway, yeah. So if you fail, you can't leave here. Yeah, but you do get to reduce the Shroud of here by 1, so that is nice. It's doesn't have victory though, so kind of sad.
Yeah, just like leave.
Yeah. La Library of Ebla. Whoa, what the frick? Victory 1, 4 Shroud, 2 Clues. As an action, test Willpower 5 to search the library for arcane lore. That's cool. If you succeed, deal 3 damage to Nahab, even if she is out of play.
I hate this. I don't understand how you put tokens on,
even...
you know.
What if she's in the encounter deck?
Right. What if she's in the discard pile?
I mean, it makes sense if you set aside, obviously, I guess.
Yeah,
kind of
but
weird. That's kind of weird.
I think there's even something already in this scenario about Doom that's on her, even if she's out of play. So
Oh
maybe it's not
God.
so strange, but I just don't like the idea of putting tokens or remembering to put tokens when she returns to play. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, this is again a similar problem that they had with the Return to Misconnect Museum, where they had those cards that could attach to the serpent, even if it was out of play, right?
yeah, but at least
Um,
it goes to the, I don't know, whatever the zone is where the hunting horror goes, right?
that's true. Yeah, the
It doesn't go into the discard pile.
void,
The void,
right?
yeah, yeah.
That's true. But it starts in the
It
encounter deck,
starts
so
in the
like,
encounter deck, you're right.
yeah, yeah.
Ugh.
Anyway, kind of weird. Moving on. The Temple of Rillier. Hey, we're gonna show up here in a bit.
Mhm.
3 shroud, 2 precludes, victory 1. After you reveal it, you test 3 willpower. If you fail, draw the top card of the encounter deck. If you fail by 3 or more, that card gains surge. That is annoying.
Yep, that's a good effect, though.
Yeah, and it's also only after you reveal, so
Uh-huh.
not when you enter. So that's okay. And lastly, we got the Price Manor. 2 shroud, 1 precludes. As an action, test 5 combat to topple the strange eldritch statue. If you succeed, remove a Doom from the Hob, even if she is out of play.
Ah, yeah, this is where it is.
Yeah, group limit 1 success per game. Haunted plays the Doom in a Hob. Okay,
I don't like
what's
it.
underneath the statue?
I don't know. Is this some? Has this shown up somewhere else? The Price Manor? Is this a thing?
I don't know. That sounds familiar.
Hmm.
I don't know.
It's nice
Yeah.
little like Easter eggs that can put in for future campaigns, but
That is true.
yeah, again, remove 1 Doom even if she's out of play. Place 1 Doom even if she's out of play. That's too cute. Like they don't
It's
need
a little.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
my
Also,
victory
there's-
points.
Yeah, I can in theory take away 2 victory.
No. Okay.
No.
Encounter cards. We've seen these all
Yes,
before.
we've seen them all.
So
I believe so.
a lot more haunted stuff here. I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yep. Haunted stuff, and also the getting rid of encounter cards with the Viceability on Hallowed Lands,
Mhm.
similar to the other ones.
Yep. Okay. Anything else we should talk about here?
I think that's it. Yep.
Okay. Hey, a short video.
Yay!
Yeah. I mean, again, I like having extra, variance in terms of locations, but I wish these were. We talked about this like in a previous campaign video, like shuffle all the victory point locations together.
Right. Exactly.
Shuffle all the ones without victory points together. Then
Yeah.
make your deck out of the correct number of these or whatever.
Yeah, and also I think other than Temple of Rie, I feel like these ones are really not that interesting anyway.
Yeah.
So like, it would be nice if they were quote unquote more interesting, I guess.
Yeah. I like the art though.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right. That's it. We will talk to you again next week. Have a good one.
See you then.